Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I'm back here at Tampa Honda, and this is a Raiti's Rides first. To be honest with you, I didn't think I would ever be doing it, but you know what? I'm gonna do it because I've had some people reach out. This is our first ever plug-in hybrid car, period. First hybrid, anything with an electric motor. This is the first one on Raiti's Rides. What we're gonna be featuring for you today is this 2019 Honda Clarity. So obviously we all understand that eventually fossil fuels are gonna disappear and we're gonna be stuck with having to use some type of alternative to move our bodies. Over the generations, engineers, scientists, physicists, chemists have been trying to develop all different types of technology. Well, Honda has decided to bridge the gap, because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Honda believes the future is hydrogen. This car is an electric plug-in. It's really kind of like a bridging of the gap type of thing to kind of get their feet wet in this arena, because it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be powering our vehicles as we go into the future. But let's take a look at this 2019 Honda Clarity. Right off the bat, I feel like it's a car from the original Tron movie back in the 1980s. And I actually mean that in a good way. Really slim and trim LED marker lights that are your daytime running lights. Very, very futuristic looking. That's the thing. On the front of this car is nothing but the future. LED lighting, very, very slim, very trim, all the way across the front. When it comes to the grille, now remember, these, hybrids, electric vehicles, all that, it's all about aerodynamics, cheating the wind, cutting through the wind. So you can see that there's a grille here, but it's very, very small. Behind the Honda H, that's where you're gonna find all that Honda sensing technology that's gonna keep you safe. If you look at a Honda Accord, they have the older style, which is a box located lower. So it's nice that they were able to hide all that behind the Honda logo. Very, very simple grille, flat black, which is gonna take more of an abuse when those rocks hit and whatnot. Little bit of gloss up here and that chrome that comes all the way across. I wanna focus on a couple things. On each corner, you're gonna find these aerodynamic vents. This is for helping to cheat the air on both sides. The one thing that is different on this corner than on the passenger corner is this vent right here. This is actually for cooling of those electric motors, because at the end of the day, you have the electric motors, you have a 1.5 liter inline four naturally aspirated engine that's gonna help with that whole range fear and running out of power and being stuck in the desert. As we come around, you can see how everything has been functioned to cheat that air, to just flow the air from the front over the side. Those vents here help channeling the air from that. And then what we're looking at is an 18-inch wheel. Now you may look at that and say, okay, there's not a lot going on. There is. You have aluminum, but you also have a plastic cover. This plastic cover, I don't know if you see the design in the actual spokes of the cover, are there for helping with not only drawing air in to cool like the brakes, but also for aerodynamics. I'm gonna have Tom show you as you come around the air vent on the inner wheel well there. You can see how that air comes from the front and then is gonna come down the side of the wheel and be kind of turned like a windmill by the actual wheels of the car. It's that technology, it's all that engineering that Honda's been doing, even with their race programs, goes into something like this. A very prominent plug-in hybrid badge here. On the other side is where you're going to actually plug into, on the driver's side. As we continue down the side, for the most part, this looks like a normal car. You could fit 5 adults in this car, believe it or not, and not like all squished up on top of one another like a sandwich. I'm talking about comfortably. Very nice roof line. You can see the aerodynamics that's been put in place on the roof by these body lines. That's all for cheating air. As we go down the side, I like the simple use of some chrome, and very simple down here, the side skirts all the way back. Now, futuristic is awesome at the front. It's not too bad here. Here's where the wheels, styling wise for me, fall off the wagon. Once we get past the passenger door, is obviously we're gonna see some help for aerodynamics. Now, one thing before Tom runs all the way back here, check out the vent. There's actually a side vent to channel that air. And you can see the body line. It's gonna grab that air, pull it in, and shoot it down the side of the car. Now the side skirt here, I felt like was like, they weren't sure what they wanted to do. It comes down, but I really feel like the car, the side of it would look better if you did like the original Insight and just dropped it down even further. This half attempt, or not even a half attempt, kind of looks a little unfinished, but at the end of the day, it's all about cheating the air, and this thing really does that well. As we get to the back, here's some other areas where I'm gonna zonk it. So I'm zonking this side skirt. I actually would like to see that a little lower. I'm gonna zonk this back area. What is the purpose of these fake vents back here? I don't know if they're trying to make a connection with the Honda Civic and whatnot, but these need to just be pulled off and just thrown away and just keep it nice and smooth. I think that would have been a lot better. But you can see how it goes all the way across that flat black. Another thing that we're gonna show you once we get inside is you really can't see it, but there's actually a pass-through window. Because of the angle of the rear glass, to allow you to use that rear view mirror, there's a pass-through that goes through the back seats and allows you to see out of the back of this portion of the car. Very, very cool the way that they've entered that in to where it's so seamless, it doesn't look like it's there. Enough trim. I know a lot of you how you feel about the lobster claws. So you got the lobster claw lights or the stapler, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people aren't really digging it. I feel like there's more plastic for lighting up than there is actually lighting. So I think they would have cleaned up the back and just went a little bit smaller with the taillights. Think about the headlights. Slim and trim. I think they should have kept that same design on the back. But let's go ahead and pop the hood and see what futuristic stuff we're looking at. All right, guys, we got the hood popped on the 2019 Clarity. There it is, a hybrid. You have the electric system with the electric motors, and that is an inline-4 naturally aspirated engine. Let's talk about what are we getting out of this. Drive range. You could drive this car just on the electric motors, a range of 47 miles. That should be plenty to get you to and from work with no problem. When it comes to the full range with the engine, you're looking at 340 miles. Out of that 1.5 liter, it's 181 horsepower. If you're wondering about charging, you have regenerative braking. So the same type of technology that's in Formula One cars, when they get on the brakes and their batteries for the electric motors are charged, same thing on this. That's gonna help you. Now, if you're gonna plug it in to a 240 volt system in your house, you have it wired up by an electrician, it only takes 2.5 hours to fully charge the battery. Under a normal 120, it's gonna take about 12 hours of charging. The great thing is, I think with this combination, it really is gonna take away about range anxiety. There's ways that we're gonna show you once we get and do the interior and on the drive that you could actually perform extra charging of the batteries while you're driving around. But let's go ahead and see what this car sounds like when we fire it up. Whoops, I guess the cat's out of the bag. The car is on and it doesn't make any sound because of those electric motors. But that's one of the things. If you want this car to make sound, you're gonna be either yourself or your passengers are going to have to be making those car revving sounds just like I was. All right, guys, we're inside this 2019 Honda Clarity. Let's talk about price real quick. This price point is perfect. $34,000 MSRP, around there about. The way that this one sits, I think it puts it really perfectly against the competition. Let's see what we're working with interior wise. So let's go to the door panels. I like the way they broke up all the black with a lot of light beige color. The only downside to that beige color is that it could get dirty very easily. If you're all eco-friendly and every time you go home you hug a tree in the front of your house, you're gonna love this car. Not only are you saving fossil fuel, but everything inside this car, most of the interior, comes from recycled material. That suede Alcantara material, as we come onto the dash, the headliner, that's all reclaimed recycled material. I like the faux wood it actually looks classy. It's dark enough to where it blends in nice, but it gives you a little bit of texture difference. And that's one thing I noticed on electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, they really like to bring those outside materials, or at least the look of the outside materials, into the car. You know, I wonder if any of them are ever going to design like a palm frond seat for you to sit in, maybe like Tarzan would use driving his car. But that's what we have right now. Soft material across the whole dash. And then you have the classic setup that Honda is using in all their vehicles with their navigation and whatnot. Very simple to use, very clear graphics. I really like this system. You could go back to home. The only problem is that if you're eco-friendly, you better not mind the lack of a volume button. There isn't a volume knob. You have to go in and actually adjust it this way. I don't know if that's going to upset you at the end of the day. A lot of the other Hondas, they're bringing the knob back. Push button start, you can see, nicely touched. I mean, that's probably got to be one of the nicest push button starts I've seen. And I like the way it just says power, because it's almost like turning on a light switch. You know, it's not engine startup or anything like that. You have dual climate air control systems right here. Very slim, very trim. I like the wood grain here. I feel like I'm touching a red oak tree or something. And then you have a very easy to use push button system for the drive management. So drive, neutral, reverse, park. There's 3 modes in this car. You have actually eco mode, which kind of makes sense because you're in a hybrid vehicle. You have sport mode, which we're going to explain what that is. Basically, that's where you're using both the full electric motors and the gas engine. And then you have the HV mode, which is going to allow you to get certain benefits from that. So you actually have ways of boosting your power choices. Nice gloss black here. I really like the cup holders. And what's cool is check this out. Let's say you don't have a very large bottle or cup. Flip that down, and now it's already propped up for you. Very nicely done. As I slide my hand down, watch this. We go down here, you have a wonderful, look at this dual plane setup. You could fit a whole iPad under here. You have your USBs, 12 volts. The only problem is that the USB is on the back side. So I don't know how you feel about that, but I think once you have the cord plugged in, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Especially you could just leave it down there and it's out of sight, out of mind. Very, very soft material on the armrest. Open her up, and it's got some usable storage. No USB. Everything is all done down here to get all that stuff out of the way. And then to wrap it off, very soft. I mean, I wonder if these pillows are made out of memory foam, the foam in these seats, because I'm telling you, they feel like you're sitting on a cloud. That's how comfortable they are. But why don't you come on over to the business end and see what the heck is going on in this Clarity Hybrid. Come check it out. All right, guys. Time to see what's happening behind the business end of things. Very comfortable. Like I said, these seats are excellent when it comes to the support, but they're so comfy and nice. I mean, you could drive that full 340 range and be in comfort. Hopefully you're by a charging station or something so that you can make it home. But nice size steering wheel. You got a little bit of that faux wood there, the gloss black, the silver. You know how I feel about these controls. I wish they would use the thumb wheels like on the Honda Accord. I don't really like the material. They kind of look really cheap and plasticky. But check out that dash. Everything is digital. There's all those different modes you could go through with Econ. As I just shut it off or turn it back on, you could toggle through and see all different ways of navigating through the system in this car. It's really, really a nice setup. And I like the fonts. I love the colors. You have your fuel gauge. You have your battery gauge there telling you how much charge you have. What's great is when you buy a car like this Clarity, you actually have an app you could download onto your smartphone. It'll tell you where charging stations are, if they're being used, how far away they are. Those are things that I think are going to help people lower that anxiety so you don't have to, do as much yoga while you're owning a hybrid electric style vehicle, which, you might want to continue the yoga because overall it's just better for you. But let's go ahead and check out the back seat because you'll see that your yoga mat is going to fit back there with no problem. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, back seat time of the Honda Clarity. I'm liking it just as much as I liked about the front with how comfortable it is. Same story here. It's just that beige leather is all over the place on the door panels with the suede. Everything's recycled so you can sleep better at night. Go plant an extra tree, save the environment. I mean, we only have one, so we gotta do what we gotta do, right? Here's some smart engineering. You see this little pocket here? If you're wondering, well, what is that? Is that like a little mouth in the seat? No, it's actually a cell phone pocket. So if I take my phone out of my own pocket and I wanna place it somewhere, look at that. That is smart. And then you just grab it when you're done. So kind of cool that they have the thinking of that. Here's the problem though. They got this great pocket, but all they have is a 12 volt back here. Come on, Honda. This is a electric vehicle. You got to charge those electrical devices. I would like to see 2 USB jacks back here, especially if you could fit 3 full-size adults. As a full-size adult, lots of headroom, lots of shoulder room. You have the rear AC vents, very, very comfortable. Pull down the armrest, very nice and soft. Look at that. You thought that was an ashtray? No way. You're hurting the environment with that kind of stuff if that was an ashtray. But it's cup holders. Remember, recycle your plastic bottles, please. Don't throw them in the ocean or anything like that. And then finally, let me showcase for you, there's that back window there. Now, I'm gonna call this window my own little nickname. I'm gonna call it the Mafia glass. The reason why is think about it. If you're in the Mafia, and say somebody's been stepping out of line, somebody's been talking too much and you need to take care of them, you knock him out, you put him in the trunk, and then you could peek on him and make sure that he's still unconscious. And if you gotta pull over to handle it again, then you handle it. But very, very smart the way they know that this back window, it's too high. Good for aerodynamics, not good for vision. So they have that clear pass-through that goes all the way through the trunk. Speaking of the trunk, let's see how many bags of cement we can fit back there. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, time to check out how many bags of cement and shovels can we fit in the trunk of the Clarity. Nicely done. Great size opening. Look at how much room that you have. There once was upon a time that these hybrid vehicles with their big batteries would just kill the trunk space, kill the interior space. Everything has gotten so much better, so much smarter, lots of room. You have the handles that you could pull down to do a 60-40 split if you need to send something all the way through there. But other than that, very nicely done by Honda. I'm gonna have Tom show you. Here's the back of the glass. So when the trunk is down, there's that final pass-through that allows you to see outside of the trunk. But if you're ready, I'm ready to go ahead and take this for a spin. First time ever on Raiti's Rides. Let's go ahead and do hybrid action. Let's go do it. Guys, we're rolling out of Tampa Honda in the Honda Clarity. No sound, roll on the gas, and you're off. It sounds a little bit like a Tron cycle. One thing to remember, this car has no actual gearbox, no transmission. It actually uses a electric motor for transmitting that power, and you're just like in one gear. So it's sort of like riding a BMX bike a little bit, where you're not able to switch gears. I don't know if you noticed earlier, but there are paddles behind the steering wheel. You could actually use those for upping your regenerative braking, and you could actually use it to help you brake, believe it or not. Now, you can't come to a complete stop using the paddles, but it really does a heck of a job. I mean, I'm gonna hit it for you here on the downside, which is the left, and you can feel it slowing down. It's pretty wild. And then you click back up and then you go. But torque, it's instantaneous. You don't have to wait for revs to come up or anything like that. Very smooth, very quiet, very, very quiet. Now, I'm having a really good time driving it. I'm not so sure if I would own one quite yet. I might be resistful for a while until it becomes like necessity or mandatory. But this is a great play on the whole hybrid plug-in system, and you don't have to have that range anxiety. I love the back window. I love that little Mafia window that I'm calling it out the back. It's real easy to see out of, very clear. And you can even see also out the larger glass window. Now remember, every time you're braking, it actually shows you on the dash here that it's charging the batteries. Another cool feature, and you might say, is that pun intended, is with that app I was telling you about, you could actually have the car cool itself. Like say you go to work at 9 o'clock and it's a hot summer day and you want your car to be cool as soon as you get in it. the car, you could actually set it up just like you set your coffee maker to go off at a certain time. You could have the car come to life and start the air conditioning process to cool the interior of the car. How cool is that? That pun was intended. But anyways, when it comes to being comfortable in a car, no doubt about it, this thing is very, very comfortable. Lots of headroom, lots of shoulder room, even with Big Guns McGee in here. I really like this dual plane setup they got here, and because there's no actual shifter and it's just push button, it makes it really, really clean, very simple to use, and I think it just adds to the whole 21st century flavor and style. I am noticing people are looking at us, and I think this car is going to get attention because it doesn't look like your typical hybrid setup. If you notice that you have the side camera there for when you're changing lanes and whatnot, it's a great feature to have. Allows you to see the curb, see behind you and whatnot. But let's see a little acceleration here. I don't know if you heard, the gas engine does kick in. Once you floor it, it will kick in and you will hear that naturally aspirated inline four. But other than that, if you roll onto the throttle, which right now I'm doing 45, I'm gonna roll on it. 50, nice and quiet. 60, very nicely done. You use your paddles to regenerative braking. You don't have to use them, remember, but that just helps, and it'll actually help slow you down as well. It's one of those things where this car, if you don't want to mess with anything and you just want to drive it and you want to get all the great effects of having a hybrid vehicle, it does it automatically. But if you want to be a little bit more involved with the driving, since there's not a lot of stuff going on besides that, you could use the paddles to help your range. You could help that use that HV mode. You see how I turn the HV mode on to help recharge those batteries and give you the longer range. It shows you in the dash right now my range is 197 miles. I'm not afraid of driving around town, that's for sure. And living in Florida, one thing you have to remember, just like a lot of other southern states here on the Gulf Coast, is that when it comes to hurricane season, and I know a couple years ago here in Central Florida when we had a hurricane come through and people were trying to drive away and get out of the area, I mean, how would you feel if you're in an electric car and you have nowhere to plug into and you're on I-75 and there's backed up traffic for miles and miles? That's a problem. With this, I would feel way more comfortable with driving a vehicle of this type. Visibility out the front is great, sides is great. Like I said, the only issue with the back, looking out the back, is you're gonna have the shelf back there right underneath the rear glass, which is kind of like a divider, but it still allows you to see very, very clear, especially with that extra glass that's down there. Just very smooth. One thing that's very fascinating is that when it comes to torque, you feel it a lot more because you're not waiting for an engine to build up the revs. This, you get on the gas and those electric motors, well, excuse me, the throttle, because right now I'm not using any gas. Tom may have gas, but I don't know. But anyways, the thing is that when you step on the throttle, it's just instant torque. And it comes on just so smooth and progressively. Very, very nice. I wish I could show you from the front because it does look really great with those LEDs that light up, that are your daytime running lights. But I think Honda has done a great job with coming into the hybrid plug-in setup. I like this better than the Insight, and we are going to be bringing the Insight to you. I think this clarity just takes it to the next level. And if you live in the state of California, obviously you have access to their hydrogen vehicle, because that's what Honda believes is going to be the wave of the future, is hydrogen powered cars. Making a U-turn into clarity, piece of cake. Very smooth. Very quiet. But hey, that might be perfect for you after a long day, is just to have a nice quiet space after a stressful day. But this thing really does get up and go for a full-size 5-passenger car.
very nicely done. I mean, the fit and finish is great. Obviously, it's a Honda, so don't have to worry about that. But handling is good. I like the thickness of the steering wheel. The steering wheel actually feels pretty sporty for a car of this type when it comes to the style and the actual feel of it. But everything, the feedback that you're getting from the front wheels is really great. And then, like I said, when it comes to braking, you hit the brakes, it tells you the charge, but then you can hit those paddles, and then it helps you brake even more and recharge the batteries. How wonderful is that? And depending on how you step on the throttle will dictate whether that 1.5 liter inline 4 is going to kick in or not. All right, guys, rolling away here. Very smooth, no CVT, no 7-speed, no DCT, no DVD. Oh wait, that's movies. But, you know, it just goes to show how technology is obviously bringing things to transportation that, you know, once upon a time were only myth and legend. And with this clarity, it just, I think it's become more clear. And the clarity is just that much stronger driving the clarity. And you get to see that, hey, hybrids can work, especially a plug-in one like this one. Even over the bumps, it soaks up the bumps, no racket. It doesn't feel heavy on its feet. It feels very quick, very fast reacting, so I really like that. And just really, really smooth. Let me go ahead and roll on the throttle again. It really sneaks up on you. You know, like Tom was saying, it's almost like a roller coaster because of just how unassuming you're. Like, okay, nothing's happening, and then you're off and going because there's no kick down of a gearbox or anything like that to feel. I guess the biggest thing is the look. You know, is that gonna hold back the clarity? You know, it seems like Toyota has done their magic with the Prius to make it look a little bit better. But you know, it's one of those things that when it comes to these EVs and everything else, the look on some of them kind of kills the sales potential. A roundabout here, very smooth. But let me just go ahead and also show you an acceleration test, full throttle with the engine. So you can hear the engine kick in. It does get a little noisy just because it's a naturally aspirated inline 4. So we're not talking about big grunt, but just enough to, hey, keep accelerating you a little bit quicker. But hopefully this gives you a great taste of what the Clarity has to offer, and maybe it is a good choice for you, because what it does is that it allows you to be more involved with the driving of an electric hybrid plug-in a little bit more with all the features and content that it has. But we're gonna get back to Tampa Honda and we're gonna wrap this one up. So we'll see you in a split second.
All right, guys, it's been a wonderful day here at Tampa Honda. Definitely got to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Christian and everybody here at the dealership, just allowing Raiti's Rides full access. If you are in the market for a Honda, definitely give Christian a call. What can we say? First ever plug-in hybrid. It really was an adventure. I'm glad that I could share with you. If these are the types of cars you want to see, Teslas, you want to see some other brands, maybe I go track down one of the final Chevy Volts, leave a comment in that comment section. If you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, click that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. Check out all my different forms of social media. You know what they're called. All Raiti's Rides original content all the time. If you want some merch, click the link in the bottom of the description. That'll take you right to Spreadshirt. And then finally, we can't forget the man who makes all the magic happen with the camera, Big Guns McGee, Tom Moschner, getting ready in between shots. he's feeding himself because he has this competition coming up. So wish him some luck. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.